Hello, my dear exiles. November Bravo here with a little mini review and discussion of the latest phenomenon in horror gaming, Iron Lung. Now, before we get started, I have to warn you that this video will contain spoilers for pretty much the entire game. If you haven't played it, and you think there's even the slightest chance that you might want to, pause this video, go over to Steam, buy it, play it, and then come back. I'm serious. I'll wait. I'm not going anywhere. The game is only like an hour long. Go. Okay, if you're still here, you've either taken my advice, in which case, holy shit, how amazing was that, right? Or you feel that there's no chance you'll ever play it, in which case, fair enough. I can understand where you're coming from. Also, if you enjoy the video, I'd really appreciate it if you felt like leaving a like and or a comment. Doubly so if you felt like subscribing. If you do subscribe, don't forget to ring the bell for updates. Anyway, let's talk about Iron Lung. Iron Lung is a bite-sized horror game from retro-spectacular FPS creator David Szymanski. Unlike his previous horror efforts, games like Finger Bones and The Moon Sliver, Iron Lung is not a walking sim, but a science fiction horror submarine sim. You play as an anonymous convict. What your crime was is never revealed, in a universe gone cold, dark, and very empty. Following a massive, mysterious apocalypse known as the Quiet Rapture, in which all of the stars went out and most of the human race, and all of her colonies, disappeared, what little of the population that remains is desperately seeking a means to survive. To that end, you've been tasked with exploring a recently discovered phenomenon, an ocean of blood on the surface of an alien moon. When you finish, you're to be set free. What a setup. The eponymous Iron Lung is the rusty coffin of a submarine that you're sealed into at the start of the game. The depth that you're sinking to in order to photograph a series of points along the ocean floor is so crushingly deep that, unfortunately, you have to seal the sub's only viewport. So to navigate, you're left with your rudimentary proximity sensor and a grainy, low-resolution camera. No training, no tutorials, no backup, no support. Yeah. This can only end well. I initially opted to make this an episode of I Am Bad at Games, but after reviewing the footage, decided that it wouldn't actually make for an especially good episode. For one, my commentary wasn't anywhere near what I would call funny. The closest I came to anything that might make you laugh is singing an off-key rendition of Tom Waits' Going Out West to comfort myself. I know karate, voodoo too. I'm gonna make myself available to you. I know karate, voodoo too. And two, despite the fact that the game does have a fail state, even the slightest brush of your submarine against a wall will cause it to pop like a tetanus-infused balloon, I never actually wound up failing. That's not me bragging, by the way. I was just so incredibly nervous and tense throughout the whole thing that I was just super careful. To give you an idea, the game's description posits that it should take you about an hour to complete. My first playthrough took me over 3. The sub itself is, well, as I said, it's basically a rusty coffin in more ways than one. The name Iron Lung is entirely appropriate. The game's mechanics, despite being really simple, are one of the key factors that contribute to just how tense and uncomfortable it is. It's that kind of horror, not the boo, gotcha type of scares, but the kind that has you clutching the armrest of your chair hard enough to leave permanent imprints in the foam, that leaves knots in your shoulders and gray in your hair. Every random noise causes you to twitch and jump, leaving you constantly wound up in a state of agitation. Proximity alarms are fading away. Almost. God. Jesus. After all, this isn't a game where you control a submarine and explore the seafloor. This is a game where you control a person inside a tiny claustrophobic nightmare of a submarine, utterly alone beneath the crushing depths of a blood ocean. Oh, and I guess you do have your trusty fire extinguisher for company. 60. Oh, Jesus, what the fuck? Your controls are simple. You can move forwards and backwards, and turn clockwise or counterclockwise to adjust the submarine's heading. There's a proximity sensor that tells you via flashing lights when you're getting dangerously close to a wall, and you have an analog map upon which you can see your various objectives. Oh, and there's the camera, which is located at the back of the cabin. The controls are easy to understand and just clunky enough to make navigating tense, but it's really the camera that's your undoing. It's not a constant feed video camera like you might expect. The technology on this sub is far outstripped by what we have on current-day Earth. No. You press a button, wait a couple seconds, and then are presented with a grainy, low-resolution, barely legible still image of whatever's directly in front of the sub. What is that? Where did all the spiky plants go? I swear, whatever company made the sub must have bolted a 1998 webcam to the front of it or something, because that's the level of picture quality we're talking about here. And it doesn't help that the ocean is full of drifting flakes of something or other that look remarkably similar to the film grain. So even when you snap multiple pictures in sequence, you sometimes get the impression that there are things moving and shifting in between shots, despite the fact that there's nothing out there. Or is there? When you start the game, you're given a brief overview of your mission by a radio operator who I assumed was going to be relaying your instructions throughout the course of the game.
I'm seeing some voltage irregularities in the instruments, so keep an eye out for sparks or flames or anything like that.
Sparks or flames, gotcha. Your guy in the chair, so to speak. That's a big nope. As you're lowered down to mission depth, the transmission crackles and fades out, leaving you well and truly alone. Oh, there goes the window. Okay.
You'll be at cruise depth soon, so refrain and be careful. You're on your own. Good.
At least that's how it seems. Your task is simple. Navigate from one end of the map to the other, stopping at various locations to photograph a series of anomalous objects designated by sets of coordinates on your map. The map itself is another way the game provides tension, as it doesn't give you any real idea of scale, and several portions of it are obscured by the low resolution of whatever scan created it in the first place. These sections, of course, line up with the tightest, most hazardous parts of the seafloor. Navigating these channels by inches, the proximity sensors screaming at you from all sides, are some of the tensest moments you'll experience in Iron Lung. But they're not the worst. Not quite. No. What's worse are the moments when you pause to snap a picture. Whether it be marking off your objectives, or just when you hear what sounds like something huge moving past the outside of the sub. Steaming along towards 560 on the x-axis. What was that? Every time you venture to the rear of the cabin and press that button, you'll always find yourself holding your breath, nervously fiddling with whatever fidget toy you have sitting on your desk in front of you, simultaneously praying that the camera shows you that there's nothing out there, while also kind of hoping that it does show you something, because it's the not knowing that's killing you. It got to the point where every time I got to a checkpoint, I'd immediately run to the camera and snap a picture, because I was convinced that this was finally when something was about to happen. Every time one of the steam pipes that surround you sprung a leak, I all but jumped out of my chair. If I haven't made it clear, the game is a masterclass in building tension and atmosphere. Despite the fact that your playable space is so limited, there's never a moment when you're not on edge. It's the combination of that tension and the mystery of what's down there on the bloody seafloor that pulls you forwards. Because you just have to know. What is it that awaits you at the end of that final, narrow channel? Are these plants? Why do they look so spiky and dangerous? What is that? What are these things? What the hell is happening here? And what is... Alright, here we go, folks. Fucking Christ! Oh my god. Oh, sweet Jesus. Fucking... Fuck you, God. Hi again, folks. Thanks so much for lending me your time and attention. I hope that you enjoyed the video and that maybe it inspired you to go and pick up this little treasure of a horror experience. If you did enjoy it, I'd be eternally grateful if you felt like leaving a like and a comment, even more so if you felt like subscribing, as small channels like mine live and die by such things. Take care until next time. For now, this is November Bravo. Over and out.